Welcome to the Juniper Vale. Today I'm going to read about what is the plan for when Trump goes. So, what I mean is when he's no longer in power, when he's no longer president. I kind of got this idea from for Queen Elizabeth, they had Operation London Bridge for when something eventually happened to her for her death. So Trump's, I'm going to call his Operation Dumbo Drop. So, what is the plan for Operation Dumbo Drop? And I'm going to do a Celtic cross for this. A few times I've done Celtic cross, I really enjoy it. So we'll do that this time as well. We'll see what we get. All my cards are upright, but I guess I'll allow for reversals. I might have to do a little digging when it comes to reversals. I've been getting a little bit better with remembering a lot of cards. If you're looking to learn tarot, one of the best ways I think is just watching other readers when they put up the cards. It's like before they even go into the explanation, it's easier and easier and easier for me to read along with them. Of course, everyone has their own tuition as well with how a card may read depending upon the question. Um, but that is fun and it's good practice. I've also been getting good practice just being on other people's lives, which is a lot of fun. Tonight, I'll be on a live with Scott and Friends. So it's going to be the newbies live tonight. So that'll be fun. Today is, what is today? February 6th. Right now for me, it is 5:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll also be with Scott. Me and Scott will be on tomorrow at 1 p.m. So that's Saturday, February 7th, 1 p.m. That's a lot of fun. I'm really appreciate people coming to those shows and letting me to really get some practice with tarot reading and oracle reading with other people. It's very helpful. I find it very helpful, and I find it a lot of fun. And I hope that I've gotten good feedback. So I hope that other people find it helpful as well. All right, so let's do this Celtic cross. What is Operation Dumbo Drop for Trump? What is the plan for when he's no longer in office? All right, so we'll start with the Two of Swords. That's our present situation. And then we're going to look at the problem, the Emperor. Wow, that's very interesting. That's one of my trump cards. Three is the past. That's the King of Wands. Four is the future. That's the Six of Swords. Five is conscious. The Hierophant. Wow. Six is the unconscious, the Four of Wands. Seven is the external influence. I might run out of little room here. So I might have to stack these on top of each other. Nine of Swords. Eight is seven is your influence. Eight is the external influence. Nine is hopes and fears. And 10 is outcome, the Empress. Wow. Man, these cards are already telling me something without without even really looking at them. Uh, so what's interesting is number one is the present self. And right now that is Two of Swords, right? So swords are about difficult events, difficult situations. They also represent growth and development of the conscious mind. Stress problems, they're the air sign of the cards. Cutting yourself off from intuition, spiritual pain rather than physical pain. They can also be double sided, sorry. So it's very interesting. So I'm talking about when Trump goes. So this right now is saying the present situation is the Two of Swords. So there's a yin and yang. There's a balance at the moment, um, but it's kind of like a balance of a difficult situations. Uh, so I think this person is blindfolded, so they may not be seeing clearly anymore. They may not be seeing the dangers. You got two swords here, so it's almost like no matter which side you pick, you might get hurt. I think right now, this is saying that, right now, Trump is in a difficult situation, but I don't think he has any good way out. That's what this is saying to me. The problem I have as the emperor, right? The emperor, this is the challenge that he's facing. So he could be facing another person, but in a way, it's just like he's facing himself. He's facing his own mortality. That's what I see for the emperor. The emperor is, a very strong individual, very much in charge. He's having to balance the fact that he's president with the fact that he has this balance that he's doing, but either way, it's a bad situation. So this is kind of like him. The problem is the presidency. The problem is he can't handle it. Every choice he makes, he's probably making himself sicker. He has a lot of health problems that can be seen just by looking at him. Um, and they do admit to some things. So, when the administration admits to some things, there's a lot more things um, behind the curtain. The past. So, the King of Wands is the past. Wands talk a lot about creativity, enthusiasm, willpower, um, attitudes, abilities that are potential for success, talents, imagination. It talks about fire and masculine. This is saying that in the past, he was a lot stronger. He had more authority. He was probably more powerful. His age in the presidency, even though I'm sure he's made a lot more money being president, that's also been reported. He's still losing power. And I think that has a lot to do with his health. The future. The Six of Swords is the future. We're talking about like a likely turn of events, given that nothing changes. This could be a short term happening. Doesn't necessarily represent the final solution. But what we have here is the Six of Swords. So the swords are all, again, difficult events. Sixes are about service and responsibility. Sixes are usually saying care for other people, especially after fives. Fives are kind of crazy. So the sixes are a little bit more of a calming down of things. In the future, he should be practicing self care. He should be trying to catch his breath. Whether he's going to do that or not, I don't really know, because again, this is a sword sign. This is a person, they're traveling across the ocean or some type of water. They're looking down because they are doing some self-reflection, right? They could be looking in the water, looking at themselves. They're doing self-reflection. I think in the future, this is saying that Trump is going to be doing self-reflection. He's having a difficult time with it because of the swords. The swords are about your conscious and cutting yourself off from intuition. So no matter what type of self-reflection he does, I don't think he really goes very deep. Let's see. Our fifth card is the conscious, and that's the Hierophant. So this is what he's focused on. This can represent goals or desires. The Hierophant, in this sense, I think, is a religious authority. I think even from the news, he's brought up death before, about going to heaven or hell. And I still think that weighs heavily on his mind. He's probably also thinking about just this could be the government as well, authority figures. When it comes to Operation Dumbo Drop, I think that the people are definitely in the government are definitely already planning on what to do when he is no longer there. I think that's what this card is saying. There's a lot of people of authority making plans. And I kind of say making plans because for the unconscious, we get the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands is usually considered like a happy families card, but it's also like foundation. It's about making plans. The fours are totality because we have four seasons, four elements, four directions, stability, security. Um, so there's planning going on, right? This is the plan. This is, it says the subconscious, I mean, the unconscious. And I interpret that as being this is what's going on in the background. There is a plan being created by the Hierophant, which is probably the government or the elites. So then we have the influence card, which is number 7, which is the Nine of Swords. This Nine of Swords is about despair. You can see in this card very clearly this person is in bed. They are crying. They are despairing over something. Swords again are that situational card where something is going on that is probably not good. So in the Celtic cross, the influence card means you can uh, think about it broadly, but it relates to how you see yourself and what the perception can influence how this situation plays out. So I think if we're talking about the plan, there is this despair. Like if Trump knows that they're coming up with the plan, I'm sure he has despair. If he's thinking about his life, he probably has despair, whether he would admit to that or not. But I think when it comes to Operation Dumbo Drop, they have a plan, but I think it's not very good. I think the despair comes from probably arguing. It comes from people not trusting each other. So either there's a plan that's kind of messy, people aren't agreeing on it, um, people aren't happy with it. I think, especially among the Republican Party, there's a lot of people, especially in Trump's administration, there's a lot of people that want to be in control, but not everyone can be in control. I mean, technically, if something happens to Trump, then JD Vance is up. I feel like JD Vance wants to be president, but does he feel like he's ready to be president? I don't know. But I think there's just a lot of feelings amongst a lot of people in the government about what to do after Trump goes. For our eighth card, our external influence, this card represents the world around you and how it affects the situation. So, with the strength card, right, this is a very strong card. She has the infinity symbol on her head. She is petting a lion. I think that this card is saying that the people outside of this situation, the American people, probably people around the world, probably other governments, they are causing this despair because they have the strength. And the government knows that they have the strength. They know that the people are on the correct side of the law and that they are not. And that's where a lot of this despair also comes from. There's a lot of infighting because people have a lot of opinions about what they should do in order to stay out of trouble, right? Trump said himself, if something were to happen to him, the Republican Party, or at least the people he associates with, would be in a lot of trouble. Number 9 is hopes and fears. We have the 7 of Wands. So the 9 card is one of the harder positions in the spread to decode because this card can represent both what you secretly desire as well as what you may be trying to avoid. Human nature is often paradoxical, and what we fear the most is sometimes what we truly have been hoping for all along. So we're looking at wands, creativity again, that willpower, that enthusiasm, fire, masculine talents, imagination. We're also looking at a 7. A 7 is inner life, solitude, soul searching. It's a mystical number, right? There's 7 chakras, 7 days of the week, 7 heavens. Rebirth, religious inclinations, and spiritual resources. So sometimes you're alone too much, so you have to socialize. So what is this saying for hopes and fears? And it's true, this is kind of like hard to decode in this sense. Hopes and fears. So if I'm looking at this from Operation Dumbo Drop type of view, and from this card as well, I like about this deck is you see that this person is like kind of in defense mode. They set up a wall and they are waiting. So it's like they're waiting for somebody. Somebody is going to come after them. They know it and they're waiting. So that's where the solitude really comes from. The willpower helps them to be on the defense. So the hopes and fears. So I guess that does make sense, right? If we're talking about how it's paradoxical, I think the Operation Dumbo Drop is saying, okay, we have to be on the defense. We're not going to be on the offense if something happens to Trump. We're going to be on the defense. That's the fear. They have hope that they will be strong, that they'll have willpower, creativity. This is a masculine card, it's a fire card. Whether that's true or not, because of the strength card, I don't think. I think they're more in fear. They can try to convince themselves that they have a good defense, but you know, they know they're on the defensive because there's this strength card right here of the people. And then what we end with is the Empress. So what does this mean? Our outcome is the Empress. This is meant to summarize the previous cards, given all that is happening. What is the likely resolution? Um, so that's interesting, right? Empress is about caring, love, taking care of people. Usually, the Empress is shown as being pregnant. You can see here there's a heart with the feminine symbol in it, also symbol of Venus. She has the tiara with 3 stars. She's also holding, I think, the wand. So this is interesting. Let me do a little searching just into the Apprentice to make sure I'm not missing something. Or the Empress. Did I say Apprentice or did I say Empress? I think this, we're looking at structure, authority, and stability. So that's a good outcome. But is it a good outcome for who? Because it is the outside that has the strength, not the Hierophant. The Hierophant doesn't have the strength. All these other cards are saying, you have this despair. All these other cards are saying, oh God, will this plan that they have turn out okay for them or for the people that are not them? That's what's, the Emperor is more like the stability. The Empress is more like nurturing, well-being, cultivation. It talks about abundance. It talks about comfort, being well cared for. Uh, let's see, pursuing creative endeavors, nourishing yourself with food. It's often, of course, associated with women. Um, so I'm thinking to myself, also people associate the Empress with Russia. That's a little scary to me that this plan, Operation Dumbo Drop, is a way for Russia to be even more in charge. That could be very scary. Um, or does a woman eventually come in charge at the end of this? Or is it a woman that's making the final decisions? That's interesting as well. Does the plan work well for the institution, at least for a while? Maybe it does. And they kind of have this sense of, well, the stability is more like the emperor. And in this case, it's Trump, it's the presidency. So that's why, to me, in this reading, the empress is Russia. Because emperor is Trump, United States, presidents. Empress, empress has to be Russia. It has to be either a woman within the administration that somehow, after the end of this plan, comes out on top, at least for a little while. I don't know for how long that would go on, or maybe as the operation it goes into plan, something happens to Trump, they start this plan, and there's a woman in charge of that plan. Could be Russia that's in charge of that plan. If a woman was in charge of the plan, it would be somebody probably within the administration. I don't know, maybe Pam Bondi. Maybe this is her doing. I don't think it would be Christy Nome. I don't think she knows as much as Pam Bondi. I think Pam Bondi knows a lot more of what's going on within the administration. Um, yeah. So, I mean, because these cards aren't that great, right? The Nine of Swords, the Six of Swords. There's this starting with the whole Two of Swords. Seven of Wands is very defensive. I don't think there's going to be a particularly good outcome. I think that this outcome will benefit someone else, could be Russia, which is kind of scary. But just because something happens to Trump doesn't mean that this is with us forever. This is just the outcome of the plan for when that happens. Going on in the future, Vance takes over. Maybe his wife is in charge. He acts like he's president, but it's actually his wife. Vance takes over, and then we have the midterms, right, in November. That's going to change things as well. So, this isn't a final of final. This is just when something happens to Trump, this is the plan. These are the fears. These are what they want to do. This is who's in charge of the plan. This is trying to create that plan. But I think the biggest things to take out of this is that they know they're on the defensive. They're worried about being prosecuted. And it's the American people and the other governments of the world that have the strength. I think that's the big thing to take out of this. So whoever takes over, whatever, hopefully it's not Russia. But we have the strength and they are on the defense. And they're despairing what's going to happen. And that is my reading for Operation Dumbo Drop. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you'd like. I haven't been able to pull any cards recently like this. Been very busy. And I didn't have any electricity in my room for a while because of electrical issues, so I wasn't able to actually record anything. But yeah, so thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Please hop on over to Scorpio Sun Tarot. That's Scott's channel, Sherry's channel. Sometimes I'm on her slumber party. That's a lot of fun. I'm going to be on with Judy's Healing Fire in March. That's a lot of fun. Um, I'm also going to be on with Amy, Warrior Princess, at the end of February. So, yeah. So, I hope you stop on by. I hope if you have any comments on the spread, please let me know. Like I said, I'm still learning, but I hope this is making sense. And I'm having a lot of fun. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. Thank you.